Hi, this is Lucy, and today I'm going to be creating with this Crafter's Choice paper pad called Pale Garden, and I'm going to create 6 cards. They're all a fairly similar design, but they all look different in the end, and it's one of my real go-to designs whenever I'm making cards, and it always just turns out really, really nice. So I thought I would share it with everyone, and you can give this a try as well if you like the look of it. So you don't need any particular sizes of rectangle dies, and you can even cut them out if you don't have any rectangle dies at all. I really liked this little thank you note here, and it doesn't quite cover the die totally, but what I'll do is I'll die cut a piece of one of the more basic papers out and then add that one to the center, and you'll never know that it wasn't the whole size. So now what I'm going to be doing is using all 3 of those dies, and that way I can cut them out a lot quicker and easier. And then I'll just choose a combination of the papers, and I do these before sticking any down so that I don't end up with potentially 2 of the same at the end of it that I can't use all on the same. I guess you could, but I do like to use 3 different ones. It looks really nice. And so, yeah, I just play around until I'm really happy with which combination that I like. And as you can see here, I'm just going to play around with that thank you to see what goes nicely behind it. And that way then we can create a card. It's quite a florally card, this one in the end. But you will see at the end all the 6 cards, and hopefully you might even let me know if you have a favorite. That would be great. So I'm nearly finished up here. These are the smaller rectangles, and so I'm just putting those in a little order as well of what I like. I think it's quite nice to do 2 florals and a pattern, or 2 patterns and a floral. 3 florals is sometimes a bit much, and 3 patterned papers is sometimes just, it gets a little complicated or a little boring depending on the patterns. So yeah, this just makes it a nice difference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm using some of this foam tape, and this is new to me, this foam tape. You may have seen me hold it up just before. I think I got it from Bunnings, and I'm just giving it a little go here. But I'm putting the foam tape on one edge of the paper and then on the side of the card as well. And then this way I get the best support for the paper that I can, because I'm not exactly sure where it's going, where the die cut paper is going to finish on the card. And then that way I can just now use my knife and ruler or a trimmer to cut off the sides. So now I'll just play around. I did use this pink foiled sentiments. I made those. I created them on the computer, printed them out, and put them through my laminator. And I do have a video on how to do that if you were interested in trying that. You don't need any particular supplies for it, or nothing fancy anyway. You just need some foil and a laminator. And so now I've got a flower and 2 of the leaves out of my stash, and I love using up my stash, some of these things that I've had for a long time. So now I'm just going to add some rhinestones, because that matches the center of the flower. So if the flower center has a rhinestone or a diamante style, I'll use the rhinestones to match it. But if it has a pearl center, I'll use the pearls instead. So now on to the next card, and you will see them all much better at towards the end, I'll show each one, and then I'll also have a photo of each one as well. So this time I'm doing it a different way, and I actually haven't done it this way before, where I have overlapped the center piece with the other two, but this is using the larger rectangular die, and I'm just going to put some scrap paper in the middle so that they're all even, and I'll add the center piece, and that will just give it a little bit of height. And I think it looks quite nice with it overlapping them like that. That way you also get the stitching on the sides of the cards as well. So again, I'm going to be looking through my stash for different things. These are some little clay type flowers, and I've had them a long time and they're so cute. So I don't end up using them on this card, but I do use them on one of the others, and yeah, I just think they're really sweet. So my process is to just go through some of the items that I have and see what goes well, what goes best, and the best way to do this is just by picking them up, trying them, and sometimes you'll just see something and you'll go, yep, that's great, this is perfect. So this white flower goes quite nice, but I end up changing it for the pink, and I think the pink goes better because it balances out the card more. On the left hand side, that paper doesn't have any pink on it, and so therefore the flower just gives it that pop of pink to help balance the pink in the card out. So here I am putting the pearls, white pearls, on the card to match the flower center. And then we're 2 cards down. So they're quite similar, but still very pretty, I think. So now on to this next card, and this is very florally, and I have some uniquely creative, beautiful cardstock here. It's 300 GSM, so it's very thick and it's very lush. So I was trying to decide which colour I liked best because all 3 of those went beautifully, but I've chosen the lilac in the end, which was the middle one. And I'm just going to add it to the whole card front and cut around. So instead of cutting on my trimmer the size of the card, I tend to do this. It's maybe a lazy way, but it works for me. And I just took off all the self-adhesive behind it. So now I'm feeling like, if I put all of these pieces together, they're a little bit too fussy, and even with the lilac behind it, I just felt like it was too much and it just needed some sort of freshness. So I decided to use white cardstock as well. But to start with, I'm going to be adding that thank you to the other die cut that's the same size but the full length. And then I just cut a slither of the darker purple or darker lilac cardstock, and I'm just going to put that on the top and the bottom, and then that way it looks like it was always meant to be this way and that it wasn't short. So now I'll add them to the white cardstock. First, I'm just going to cut it off so that it's just a little bit longer than the card itself, so that it's easy to pop onto the card front and take off the excess again, rather than cutting it to the perfect size. So I'm just going to be using some more of this foam tape again as well, and I will link this below in the description. I'll have a look for it because if you're like me, it's quite hard to find this very thin foam tape, and sometimes you only want a little height, especially if you want to do a few layers, rather than the really high foam tapes that you can find more easily. So now I'm just going to eyeball that to put the center one in, and I'll do the same thing again with putting the tape on the side of the card rather than on both sides of the die cut paper, because I don't know where it will finish. So then I'll just cut off the edges again, and I have a look and see if any of the little flowers go, but I really think that it's a busy enough card. So I'm just going to add a couple of pearls, and then the card will be done. And it seems quite pretty. I really do hope that you're enjoying these, and it might give you a little idea, especially for making fairly quick cards. These I'm just showing. This card I just made using a die cut, and then I'm using some old leaves from my stash as well. And so I'll just add them to it with foam tape on the ends of the leaves, and I'll glue the insides so that they sit flat behind the flower. I do end up adding a little mum sentiment to this card when you have a look at the end of this video, which is now. So here's all the cards that I've done. So this one we did at the start, and this one we also went through, and I used some leaves from an old sticker set that I have here. They're a little bit transparent, and I think they turned out quite nice on the cards. They seem to match. So I used the leaf and rose on this one as well. And also some lacy ribbon on that last card. And this one I just created before. And then my final card to show is I used the opposites of that other top right card to do the circle and the scallops, and I ended up using those cute little flowers on that. So this is the negative and positive of the die cuts of the circle. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at these cards, and maybe they've given you an idea. I'd love it if you subscribed and to my channel and liked this video, and even better if you commented as well to let me know which one was your favorite. And yeah, I thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.